more, got the knowledge in store. Oh yeah, Alan Ng, watching top of the flare. Movie and TV show reviews what you need. Film threads on fire, we're planting the seeds. Film thread, we keep it real. Dive into the stories, you know the deal. Turn the phone, it's the place to be. Movie lovers gather round. 1, 2, 3. From blockbusters to indie gold. Oh yeah, Chris and Alan break the mold. Pop your corn, turn down the lights. Get ready to groove through movie nights. Film thread, we keep it real. Dive into the stories, you know the deal. Turn the phone, it's the place to be. Movie lovers gather round. 1, 2.
Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday to an early edition of Hollywood on the Rocks. That's right. There was no Nerdrotic Nooner today. And I'm off to Vegas for a meetup. And so why not do Hollywood on the Rocks earlier so I can get on the road to Vegas, and might be hanging out with some of you if you will be there. So much to talk about on the show. The WGA released some figures that are shocking but not surprising. Plus, we'll be talking about lots of other Star Wars related news. Yeah, I know, you can't believe it. And we'll talk to the filmmakers behind the upcoming death of Snow White, coming to theaters. Let's see if an indie production can outdo Disney. I don't think they'll have to try very hard. So Alan is here waiting in the wings. Let's get him on the show. Let's go here. Where is he?
Oh,
he's here, I promise. So let's go. Come on, Alan. Come on, join me. Let's go.
Alan.
Yeah. I'm glad Glenn is cutting my clips down to a second now.
Yeah, I love it.
5 minutes.
A little pop in there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mentioned we are earlier than our normal time. So, obviously we keep these live streams up so you can watch the replay. So we're 2 hours early, and this makes up for all the times we've been late.
So we've credited that bank. So I think next few shows we can come in late again.
It's kind of like European football, or what we call soccer, where they add on time at the end. It's like, well, it's kind of 85 minutes, 86.
It's sort of soccer, you do that too.
It's a guess. They do that. I never understood it, but whatever. But yes, I am off to Vegas. In right after the show, literally right after the show, I'll be getting on the road, and hanging out with folks.
I'm kind of jealous now.
Well, you can come out, Alan. You mentioned coming out for the day,
but that means I'm driving home at 1 a.m. Won't be back here till 5.
Yeah.
But on top of that, at least I went to MegaCon and did the meetup there, so I got to meet and talk to a lot of you. I just won't be able to do it in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, if you change your mind, Alan, you can be my +1.
Oh, okay.
You're my permanent.
Not bringing your +1.
I'll be +2.
Okay.
And maybe a dog. Who knows? Anyways, so yeah, you're welcome. So if you change your mind, I think we've seen all the movies we're going to review on Friday, and we've seen the first 3 episodes of Andor.
Yes.
I'm
so excited to talk about Andor.
Yeah. I can't wait.
So I've seen the first 3 episodes. Do I need to keep going on?
I'm a glutton for punishment. By next Wednesday, I'll have seen every episode.
I think, punishment seems like a term that implies things.
Well, I want to save all my thoughts. We can do a social reaction, an early social reaction on Friday. We will do that. We'll talk about the first 3 episodes next week. We will just go into it. So a brief reaction Friday, and lots of films to review. Al and I are already arguing about Sinners, and we're going to save it.
Yeah, you're wrong.
We're saving it. So, hey, let's talk to the chat here.
Yeah, Razorburn, what the F? What's Film Thread doing at this hour?
It's like I said, it's early because of Vegas. We will not change this very often, only rarely. And I do appreciate Atomic Glory and Alan for accommodating, and our guests too, the filmmakers behind the death of Snow White. So that is going to be a lot of fun. The woman who plays Snow White, she looks amazing, spitting image of Snow White. She's very pure of heart. There is nudity in the movie. Sorry to break it to you, Snow White does not get naked.
Oh.
Others do, and we will talk to the evil queen. So it's going to be a fun conversation.
Joker Jack Fatak, it is a lovely my birthday eve. Gonna be a great day today and tomorrow. Happy birthday, Joker Jack.
Happy birthday, Joker Jack. I would toast you. All I've got is coffee, so I hope that's okay. Coffee here. Toast to Joker Jack. Happy birthday. My favorite birthday present is just buy me a drink. I don't need. Look behind me. I don't need more stuff. I don't need things. Maybe something digital. Maybe a drink. Don't need stuff. I'm full up on stuff.
I'm just saying, if you removed the duplications in the background there, you would have more room for things.
Yes, I'm doing a big purge.
All right.
So here we go.
Sons and Shadows, hail chat. Hey, Sons and Shadows.
Hey, hail Sons and Shadows.
Sam Spurgeon, did Linda Carter jump in a time machine to play Snow White? She looks kind of like Linda Carter there.
Why don't you ask her? She will be here. The actress who plays Snow White and the Evil Queen, along with the director who plays the Huntsman, they are all going to be here in less than 90 minutes. So ask them yourself. And we will look at that trailer again because I think it's just amazing. It showed up on our trailer channel. So there you go.
All right. Daniel T. Finish watching Red Rooms. Ugly Stepsister is getting good reviews. Don't forget, everyone, Sinners is both a mid and post-credit scene. You can't miss them because it has a true ending to the movie.
Yes, Daniel T, there is. I want to wait because when I talk about Sinners, I want to talk spoilers. I don't think it's fair to do that now. So I'm going to wait to do my review with Alan on Friday. You'll get two perspectives.
Okay, so would you recommend people to see Sinners?
Yes, so we can discuss, but it gets mild. But I have a lot more to say. I may even change my mind because
I think you're wrong.
We'll just wait for Friday.
This guy's on Friday.
Wait for Friday. And as always, like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, sign up as a member, and join us on Discord. And if you're a member, you get members only videos. I filmed the Q&A after the screening for The Death of Snow White, which was a lot of fun. It was at the LA premiere. So it was very indie. I'll just say that. It was a very indie premiere, which I love. And in any case, go to shop.filmthread.com. Lots of stuff. We had to take some of our stuff down. We got a copyright. We had some issues with copyright with some of our merch. But we'll fix that. We will fix that at some point. So, but I'm really proud of the designs. I don't have all these shirts. Crazy. So there you go. All right. Okay. Let's get into it. Our first.
What story do you want to do first?
Let's do this. The Star Wars version that George Lucas banned.
Yes.
The screen. Would you like me to put the story up, Alan?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. You get to the note. But I am very interested in any Star Wars news that we have. It always interests me. You know, it's like your joke to me was always like, we're going to talk about Star Wars today? This is what Alan would say on the show. Like, somehow Star Wars will come up. Well,
let's be real. Are you going to talk about Han, Luke, and Leia again? How long did we stretch the Acolyte out?
Look, if that comes up, it comes up organically. But you would joke to me when we were first doing live streams, Star Wars would come up every conversation. I almost feel, before we get into this, I almost feel it's kind of a form of therapy for Star Wars fans. This is why it is such a topic, even though the brand, I think, is hobbled and irrelevant. We'll talk about that more when we discuss Andor season 2. But it's a form of therapy. Why? I'll tell you this. Quick rant. Because I grew up on the Star Wars original trilogy. I saw Star Wars when I was 11. Then the Empire. Was very formative years being a teenager in high school, seeing Star Wars, the original, the OT, as it were. And in my mind's eye, through comic books and also novelizations and things like the Splinter of the Mind's Eye, and also from owning action figures. And I didn't collect them. I played with them. They stayed in my backyard. They got rained on and dirt. And, I played with my figures. So in my mind's eye, I made up the continuing adventures of Han, Luke, and Leia in my brain. And that's not original. Millions of kids did the same thing. They imagined adventures, further adventures of Han, Luke, and Leia after Return of the Jedi. We finally get the Star Wars sequels, and they treated the legacy characters horribly. They never reunited Han, Luke, and Leia. Check your bingo card, Alan. Go ahead, make fun of me. And this is why this topic it's like a wound from childhood, that seeing more Star Wars movies with Han, Luke, and Leia and Lando and the droids and meeting up. And I am not alone in feeling this. So in many ways, the reason this topic continues is because of that. We never truly got the adventures of Han, Luke, and Leia. We got Finn, Poe, and Rey. And there you are. So Alan, from the Hollywood Reporter, the Heat Vision column, which covers a lot of nerd news, tell us Star Wars version that George Lucas banned to screen for the first time in 47 years. Tell me about this.
All right. Well, you may think you've seen the original Star Wars, but chances are you've watched one of the many altered special editions heavily modified by George Lucas over the years. From subtle tweaks in the infamous changes like Greedo shooting first and a clunky CGI Jabba the Hutt, Lucas's relentless revisions have long frustrated fans craving the 1977 original. Now, for the first time since 1978, a rare Technicolor print of the original theatrical release is being publicly screened in the UK at the British Film Institute's Film on Film Festival in June. Painstakingly preserved over 4 decades, this version has been largely inaccessible due to Lucas's insistence that only the special editions represent the true film. As excitement builds for the screening, fans are hopeful it might inspire Disney and Lucasfilm to bring the original back to more audiences, maybe even in the States.
Let me just say this. I saw the original.
Me too.
When Star Wars came out, it opened in, I think, 10 theaters in the US. One of them was the Americana Theater, just outside of Detroit. And that was my favorite movie theater. I saw so many films there. I saw Logan's Run, later saw movies like Tran and The Black Hole, Blade Runner, Aliens, on and on. It was the biggest screen in the Detroit area. It had THX sound. It was amazing. It was amazing. And so I saw the original version 7 times over that summer. And Star Wars played for an entire year in one theater. There wasn't reserved seats. You got in a line, and hopefully you were at the front of the line and got a good seat. So I've seen the original many times, and I remember when it was first released on VHS. I had that version. I had a bootleg version before it was released legally. Yes, there were like bootleg versions of Star Wars back in the day on VHS. So I saved money from my newspaper route to buy a VHS player. So I've seen it. But did you know that George Lucas continued to make changes and edit the film after it opened in those 10 theaters? Famously, he was at Hamburger Hamlet with his then wife, and across the street was the Man Chinese Theater where it was playing, and they saw the lines, but they kept cutting and recutting aspects of the movie. Little changes like audio cues, like when Obi-Wan disarms the tractor beam, that audio is different. There's a lot of subtle little changes. George Lucas was never happy with this movie, continued to tinker with it. So even this version, I question, is it the version earlier as first released or later? There's even, if you do the research, a film professor that Lucas allowed to screen an assembly cut of Star Wars that was black and white that had production audio that really showed how much work went into the sound and the effects and whatnot. It's just a rough assembly, and it shows you really the craftsmanship. By the way, there's some construction outside my window. Let me know if that sound is distracting.
Yeah, I don't hear you.
It is for me, but okay, that's great to hear. What are your thoughts, Alan? I'm excited. I would like to see this for myself. You'll probably see like things like you could see certain prints. It depends on the how the brightness of the bulb. You could see like the little mat that followed the models. I'm glad they obviously fixed that. But what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I saw Star Wars. So I was in the hey, have you heard about this Star Wars movie phase?
That was you.
Yeah, so it has expanded to one theater in the South Bay area of Southern California, in Torrance, more toward Lawndale, over by the South Bay Galleria. You don't even know this. That's where I saw Star Wars for the first time. My brother dragged me to see Star Wars because my dad didn't want me hanging out at the office during summer. So that's when I first saw it, and that's when I first got my full embrace of Star Wars. And as you say, that the movie changed my life. And so, yeah, I have at least seen the original version. I do believe I own the VHS versions of the clean cut, meaning before Lucas did the special editions, he had to have a clean cut of the movie digitized. And I believe I have the VHSs of those three movies. So at least the story-wise, I have ones that are still intact. But this is exciting. I hope this comes down. And I think the point of this article is that maybe Lucasfilm and Disney are okay with these screenings, and that they're not going to do anything to stop it. And that maybe if Disney was smart and maybe needed money to help cover certain losses from the last two movies they put out, that maybe they would want to do this Memorial Day weekend or something like that, or have some special screens, because I think people will show up.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. There are a lot of people already know about this. If you don't, look it up. There are the despecialized editions. A group of filmmakers that are archivists have gone ahead and put together a despecialized, meaning the original theatrical release of Star Wars. You can download it in 4K Blu-ray. If you search around, you might find it somewhere. You can download it and burn a copy. You can even download sleeves for your Blu-ray case. They're out there. Everything's out there. I happen to have them, but I've got 7 different versions on VHS. This is why I have to do a purge, Alan. You've been to my place. You've seen up.
So you know which one is the one you need to watch.
Yeah. But I have them. I still have copies on VHS. But it was always like the way they would release them on VHS. It was like, and this is the last time. Well, then it's going in the vault, like Disney. It was a great marketing strategy that would get you to buy. So I love this. I think eventually, the way this ends, Disney will remake Star Wars.
Yeah.
They will remake Star Wars with a neutered Han, a more feminized Luke Skywalker, and a more girl boss Leia.
More masculine Princess Leia.
A more masculine Leia, where she takes control. Look, she was a badass in the original, and not a typical femme fatale. But now it's just gotten ridiculous. So I love this, but if you and I do plan to see Revenge of the Sith opening this weekend, actually.
No, a week from.
No, we have next weekend. Yeah, true. Yeah. I will go see it. I want to see it on the big screen because it'll be my first time since 2005. And it is, I would say, the best of the prequels. I think most of it holds up. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. But
by the way, while you're restoring the original Star Wars, throw Hardware Wars into that as well.
I love Hardware Wars. I have that on DVD as well.
Let's get the 4K version of Hardware Wars.
Hardware Wars. I love that. When that came out on VHS, that was the first like parody film. One of the first.
You know what it was? Because in the late 70s, we had Showtime for a year.
Yeah.
And they would play Hardware Wars on Showtime, and that's where I first saw it.
Yeah, and the same filmmaker, Michael Weezy, who I happen to know, and one of the first books about filmmaking I ever bought was authored by Michael Weezy. He made that movie. He also, I believe he was a producer on a film called A Pork Lips Now. There were a lot of these parodies. They were short films. They were fun. They were on VHS. Early days. This is pre-internet, folks. This was the 70s and early 80s when these parodies came out. And I love them. But I can't. I hope this encourages. Look, a lot of the changes. I think the least changed of the Star Wars trilogy was Empire, and the changes they made don't make the movie better at all. They make it worse. So
I don't remember a lot of changes to Return of the Jedi.
There's a really bad change in Empire Strikes Back where they thought people would not understand that Darth Vader was going to his Super Star Destroyer, and they get me my shuttle to get to the. They had something it didn't need.
Yeah, because they think you're stupid. That's why
these little tweaks usually aren't necessary. But let's see what you think.
Yeah. That's the problem when you own your own studio. You just constantly make changes. Sometimes you need a studio to just say, it's good enough. Go with it.
Here we go.
All right. Cavatino Cavalryman Shay saw that AMC are bringing back Darth Vader and Stormtrooper helmet popcorn buckets for the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
Are you getting them? Jose Taco, happy stroke anniversary, Chris. Glad you're still with us. God bless.
Yeah, I sent a note to myself 6 days after my stroke. There's a website you can do this thing. I find it very motivating. It's called futureme.org. And go to futureme.org. You can send an email to yourself a year, like you set the date. It could be a year, 2 years, 5 years. It's but I've been doing this for years to like motivate myself. And I sent myself a note 6 days after my stroke. It's a bit too personal to read, but I'll just say I feel very good. I've dramatically changed my diet. I'm a disciplined exercise routine. Alan knows because we spent time in Vegas.
Yes, and we saw your six-pack this morning.
If you see all the pictures of me, no, that's obviously AI. But I go to futureme.org and I do this every year. I send myself a motivational note. It's like marking the past, seeing where I may be in the future, and it's I feel very good about it, and thank you so much for your well wishes.
Yeah, you should have sent a video to yourself. That would
yes.
John C. I didn't know they had made changes. I was usually stoned out of my gourd when I saw the movie.
Fair point.
Yeah, Jen McMahon, sorry, for 10 months. It just kind of feels like the Star Wars brand now with Disney has just mutated organically into the sequel to Spaceballs.
Oh, good point. That makes a lot of sense.
By the way, after Andor is done, what Star Wars is coming out next?
The Mandalorian and Grogu,
Which they talked
Ahsoka
about
season
incessantly at CinemaCon.
They ignored it.
Yeah.
At CinemaCon they completely ignored Lucasfilm and Star Wars. Not an announcement, not a date, not a teaser. Zero from Lucasfilm. Oh, hey, knee pain. Alan?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Alan.
After Andor Wars for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Knee pain. If Disney remakes Star Wars, the Rebellion will all be female and the Empire will all be male.
Yeah. Yep.
But where do they make the babies then? It's okay to laugh for two. LBH Thumb Wars. Oh, let's be honest. Thumb Wars, the Fandom cuticle is GOAT.
I love the Thumb Wars movies. They're dumb. They're fun. And don't tell him this, but I love Jay, drunk 3PO. He looks like a thumb war. He looks like a thumb with his face. Every time I look at Jay, I think of the Thumb Wars. My favorite was probably Thumbtanic.
Well, will you be able to tell him tomorrow, or is he coming?
He's not going.
Okay. Sons and Shadows. I still have my OG VHS tapes and despecialized Blu-rays.
That's the way you do it.
Yeah,
Thank
Patrick
you.
Lemire. George Lucas is just angry that everyone likes his ex-wife's better than his fucked up editions.
Yep.
Stevie D 0821. Pedro will play Han, Luke, and Darth Vader.
Yep. True.
JPT RX member for 31 months. Don't put Disney Star Wars and the Great Spaceballs in the same sentence. Glad you're healthy, Chris. Six-pack Gore.
Thank you, JTPRX, and member for 31 months. That you've suffered through a lot of bad live streams with Alan and I. I'll just say that. But thank you. That is we appreciate that support. Now, in another Star Wars related story, let's discuss this, Alan. Here we go. Kelly Marie Tran on racism in Star Wars. I'll bring up the story, Alan, if you would read from our notes.
Sure.
I'll bring this up, but and we will talk about a Kelly Marie Tran movie this Friday. I saw The Wedding Banquet. I have thoughts.
Okay.
And we will discuss, but this is from Variety. Let me share this story here. Give me a second. And I have no issue with Kelly Marie Tran at all. So from Variety, here's the headline: Kelly Marie Tran and how Wedding Banquet empowered her to come out as queer, and why Star Wars racism is a microcosm for the social climate, by Abigail Lee. Alan, if you would read the story.
All right. A lot has changed for Tran since Star Wars, but as she looks back on her experience with that fandom, she knows that the racism she faced was symptomatic of a larger continuing issue. When considering what she wants to see change of actors of color who might not receive the support they need when they appear in major franchises, she replies, "The world." It's interesting how it seems, she says, it's interesting how it seems to be happening pretty consistently to actors of color who find themselves in these spaces. And I think these occurrences are a microcosm of the social climate that we're living in, and it's really unfortunate. Tran points out that people of color are often the forefront of storytelling now, and that audiences could perhaps begin to evolve too. The hope is that people who are not afforded the ability maybe to have access to these communities of queer people and people of color are able to see through the art that the people of color and queer people are also human, and they have hopes and dreams, she says. We live in a world where those identities have been weaponized so that people are not able to see the bigger picture, Tran continues. I really just want people to recognize it's the system that's the problem. Stop scapegoating people of color or queer people or anyone who's different.
Well, let me just say this. I have no issue with Kelly Marie Tran at all. Her weak character, she should not be attacked for that, obviously. And then they did nothing with her in the movie. She was in Rise of Skywalker for what? Don't blink, you'll miss her. So no issue with her whatsoever. Everyone gets harassed online. The majority of comments I get are positive, and then people have called me fat. People have called me names. People have attacked me personally. Set your phasers to ignore, or excuse me, let me put it in Star Wars. Set blasters to ignore. There will never not be idiots online that make comments. When I see comments like that, I think, well, that person's having a bad day, or that person is probably 11 years old. And I'll tell you this, a friend of mine for years was a junior high teacher, and she said of junior high age kids, they are monsters. They call each other horrible names. Bullying is real. And I think there's an element of a lot of the people that engage in online harassment aren't really mature. It will there's nothing you can do to stop it. It's always there. Why give it attention? Now, back in the day, in early days of social media on Twitter, what I would do if someone said something that crossed the line, I would retweet them. And then what people would do, my followers would go after this person. I realized that's probably not the best way to handle it. I don't want to fan the flames. Now I just ignore comments, or I try to be funny. Alan, if you follow him at My Pal Al, I think Alan's very funny. I don't do.
I think so.
And I think, look, this is a separate. Forget that Alan and I are friends. If I didn't know Alan and I followed him, I think this guy's very witty. He's funny. He's got over 10,000 followers. Obviously, he knows what he's doing. But Alan, do you get harassed online?
I do, but not as much as other people. And I think it's because of the nature of my tweets.
But why do you get harassed based on your ethnicity?
My politics.
Okay, that's it.
That's the only reason I've ever been harassed, is my politics or my takes on movies. Other than that, no.
Well, I actually don't mind if someone goes after my take.
Yeah.
If they attack the take and say, well, you felt this way, I felt this way, but I would never be dismissive of someone because they have a take I don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I can say, oh, okay, well, I don't see it that way. In fact, we are about to have a conversation Friday about Sinners, and I know we disagree.
Yep. And we'll talk about Friday.
We'll save it for Friday because
we'll talk about Friday.
It will be very spoiler filled, our conversation.
And our both our takes on it are very they're not the same.
Well,
I don't see it the way you do.
All I'm saying is I've dealt with people going after me forever. Let me tell you how long. I started, this is going to sound like old man yells at cloud, but let me go. I've been doing Film Threat magazine in print since 1985. It was a Xerox fanzine, became a magazine in the 80s, moved to LA in 1989, sold the magazine to Larry Flint. Film Threat magazine was in print from 1985 through 1997 when the last issue was published. We went online in 1996. It's been fully online, and for the last 4 years now, longer, we have had our YouTube channel. So Film Threat as a media entity has existed in some form, a zine, a newsprint, magazine. You can find Film Threat magazine used on Etsy or eBay or whatever. I don't even have all the issues. I started a column in the 80s called Hate Mail. What was this column? We would take the most incendiary, hateful letters and we would publish them in Film Threat in 2 pages, right? And we would publish the actual letter. Now, I would edit them just to get to the salient point, and then I would have the last word. So in a way, I've been a target since then when people would mail you a letter on paper with a stamp. And let me tell you, I had an intern recently in the early 2000s that didn't even understand how to address an envelope with a stamp in one place, a return address in another, and where the address, they didn't know. So, you know, people now don't send letters. I do like to send cards to people. Once in a while, I send cards. I send, I'll tell you, quick aside, a weird joke that I used to do is I would write an email and I would print out the email. Then I would take the printout of the email, I would fold it up, put it in a letter, address it to my friend, mail the printed version of the email to a friend, and then a week later I'd call my friend up and say, "Did you get my email?" I laughed. I could not stop. This was a dumb joke. This was a dumb joke I did to friends for years. I would print out emails and send it to them and then call them to see if they got my email. Okay, I know.
I'm sorry. I meant this one.
That's, yeah, womp womp. All right, it's fine. I deserve that.
All right.
In any case, what I'm saying is, I feel like, and they say there's a documentary about actors called Rhino Skin. Okay, it's directed by a guy named Hopwood Dupree. What is Rhino Skin? It's a documentary about actors auditioning. What does the term refer to? It refers to, if you want to be successful as an actor, you are constantly being rejected, criticized, examined, looked at, and in order to succeed as an actor, you have to have rhino skin, tough skin, to be able to survive everything that will come at you, to be a professional. And actors these days, from the Trans to the Zeglers, they have not developed rhino skin to basically hold their head up high and be able to survive in this business. So this makes me sad that she even gives it oxygen. Don't give it oxygen. Ignore the haters, as they say. Develop that rhino skin and go on with your career, and then your career will go where it goes. I will say this, and I did not know this, but a friend of mine, when The Last Jedi came out, said that the reason that China did not like the character of what's her character's name? I forget now.
Oh, Rose Tico.
Rose Tico, that's right. You can get a dozen roses. That's 12 Rose Tico action figures. You can get those. Is that she is Vietnamese and Chinese people do not. I didn't realize there's all sorts of racism within the Asian community towards other Asian ethnicities.
Yeah, that surprises me. Wow, we hate each other, and we do. We honestly do.
Like, the Chinese don't like the Vietnamese, and no one likes the Japanese. For the Koreans don't like the Japanese for reasons. Look it up. But I did not know about this, and I'm certain that when she was cast, maybe they thought, "Oh, she's going to be so popular in China." And that's not the case. So all I'm saying is develop rhino skin, hold your head up high, and just be grateful you get to work in a business where, you're not working in a factory. You're not working a service job. I've done those jobs. So I would just be grateful, ignore it, move on, and don't give them oxygen. Final thoughts from you, Alan, and we'll go to comments.
Final thoughts. You spoke for.
Oh no! Well, I'm sorry. I want to hear your thoughts.
Okay.
Obviously, I do. I want to hear.
Let me talk about the real racism in this.
Please.
Story. This is the real issue. Having been a minority in the United States for, say, all my life, there are things I have learned about living in a white world, and I will say, I say this only to bring up the fact that when I was a kid, I lived in a white world, and today. You know, the racism and things, quote unquote racism I have to deal with, I would much less today, except the wokeness that comes out of the left. But that aside, the real racism in this story is the fact that they wrote 2 really bad roles and decided rather than fill it with white people, let's put minorities in those roles. And therefore you have Finn and you have Rose. You needed to have an Asian in your story. Okay, I'll just make one up. Rose Tico, good job. Why does everyone hate it? Because you threw it in there because it was inorganic and you didn't know what to do with it. Same thing with Finn. You had a great idea. Rian Johnson didn't know where to take it and reverted it back to a supporting character when at least JJ had some kind of a seed in there that could have made that role better. This has been my observations, especially of Asians in entertainment since I was a kid. We need more diversity. We need more representation. Well, how about this show? Sure, let's greenlight that show. And that show's really bad. And then they cast it with Asians, with minorities. It fails. And they say, well, there you go. That's what happens when you produce a show full of minorities. All my life, it was like one bad Asian show after the other. All American Girl with Margaret Cho. Oh my God. And it wasn't until Mulan came out that I was like, wow, they finally got it right. And then Joy Luck Club. I'm like, they honored the book to a good degree. And then for 10 years, nothing until Crazy Rich Asians came out. And I mean, not nothing. There were things that came out in between, but they were all bad. And I remember because I was, you and I was doing this when Crazy Rich Asians came out. And I went to you and I said, I need to get to an early screening of this. And we've had issues with Warner Brothers at the time. And they did. And after watching Crazy Rich Asians, it was like, wow, we can really make good movies. And not only good movies that represent our culture and feels right to us, but has a broad appeal. And that's what that did. 2 other movies came out and then came Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I'm like, look, it's really simple. You want to bring diversity to your movies, to all your stuff. Tell good stories. Put in actors who could do the role you created. Yep. They have to be black, white, Asian, whatever. But you need to you need people who are good at their jobs. And the movies that succeed are movies that are written, directed, and star people who are good at their jobs. Again, the real racism here is, you treat minorities as tokens. You find a token role, you throw them in that token role, and you wonder why we're all upset and why we've been fuming about this stuff over time. At the same time, the Black community has done a lot over the last few decades, and it confounds me that community is still complaining about the roles they're getting, the movies they're making, because certainly there have been a lot more good Black stories, good Black films, good Black movies, a lot more than there are Asian, Hispanic, and American in American movies.
But the thing is this, no one is stopping anyone. I want to end on this and go to comments. There's a lot of comments here, but I don't want to cut you off if you have more to say, Alan. But let me just say, no one is preventing anyone in the film industry from telling their story, because you can make an independent film and tell your story. In fact, movies that studios release like A24, a lot of those movies are indie movies. They just make them and say, A24, do you think you want to release this? Okay, we will. No one is stopping anyone's story from being told. And by the way, you can go down a whole rabbit hole of Korean cinema, Chinese cinema, Japanese cinema. In fact, I think when they tell their own stories, they're more authentic. If you're an Asian American and you want to tell an Asian American story, tell your story. There are plenty of film festivals that will champion and put your movie in. In fact, sometimes, whether it's good or not, because they care more about identity than quality. True, sorry to tell you this, it's true, but you have a lot of support. And with so many, it's so inexpensive to make an indie movie now. You can make something of high quality for under $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there's an award show that acknowledges movies like that. Award this. Go to awardthis.com. Learn about it. But all I'm saying is the complaint victim culture gets you nowhere. It only pushes people away. I think this constant hamster wheel of victim mentality is exhausting for the person that spouts that. Be grateful, make your stuff, do a mic drop, let the work speak for itself. And we will review her new movie, Wedding Banquet.
You will, yes.
I will. I've seen it. There are 2 gay-themed films we're talking about on Friday.
Ironically, you saw Wedding Banquet and I saw on Swift Horses.
We'll talk about that. But, I feel sorry for her because I feel like she's being baited and getting bad advice. And she's almost being encouraged by maybe her peers behind the scenes, people we don't know, to feed into this victimhood. Alan, if you will, and we'll go to comments.
Yeah. Again, I find it frustrating that she is blaming fans, calling them racist because her role was bad. And again, look. If there were 2 great examples of someone of a diverse person being shoved into a role for the sake of it, Lando has to be one of them because of the complaints. But George Lucas wrote Lando a real character, and put Billy D. Williams in who played it perfectly. The other is Nick Fury, Sam Jackson. I mean, for as long as I've read comics at that point, Nick Fury was white, David Hasselhoff white. But they brought in Nick Fury, and it was they brought in Sam Jackson to play him, and it was just like, yeah, no, it works perfectly. It's not that you can't do this stuff; it's you got to hire the right people to pull it off, and there are certainly people of color who could pull it off. Here's the controversial thing I'll say, and this is a fallout from Monday, but the guy who's playing Snape, I mean, I get it. I understand why people are upset and all at arms, and I'll go to Rob's point. They must have seen something in him to cast him, and I'm willing to give the guy a chance because
right.
I don't want to rehash what was said on Versus, but look, if it's going to work, he better be better than Alan Rickman. That's all I can say, and maybe he is, but I don't know one way or the other, but I just find it interesting, and I'm just not willing to say that the Harry Potter series is dead because Snape is black.
Let's go to comments here. There's a lot of them.
There's only 7. Okay. DD67 for 10 Rs. Just saw an interview with Anthony Mackie. He says someone killed masculinity, killed the American man, and he is qualified to talk about that, right? Is he qualified to talk about that right now?
Look, I like Anthony Mackie. I think he said some things where he was careless. And so but I don't have to agree with everyone's take. I mean, I like his takes on male-female relationships. Look up the video, Anthony Mackie, Make Daddy a Sandwich. Look up that video. I'm not going to show it now. We've shown it on the show before, but I like Anthony Mackie. I think he's another example, Alan, of an actor of color. So I don't even think of people as actors of color. I think this actor I like. I don't like this actor. Sometimes I like actors that are white. Sometimes I don't like actors who are white. I like actors that are black. I don't like it. This whole identity politics has created a trap to get into fights about stuff that doesn't matter.
Right. But it's interesting. But what Anthony Mackie said was very American.
It was very, also, by the way, that movie was terribly written. Everyone loved Sam Wilson, And then the writers did him no favors by making him Captain America because he got the shield. Then that TV show on Disney Plus was awful.
Look,
that helped him. That didn't help him. And then the Captain America Brave New World movie was not good.
But the thing is
bad writing.
It's not necessarily. I mean, that's right. It's not necessarily that Sam is Captain America. Blah blah. We can argue that. But the reality is when you look at the television series and when you look at the movie, badly written, badly produced, ill conceived, and it didn't give Anthony Mackie a chance to succeed in the role of Captain America. And that's my issue. Could it have been pulled off? Maybe. But we'll never know because they just, again, the real racism here is they took a bad role, wrote a bad story, and put a person of color in it.
Right. Right. And thank you for the support, DD67. Appreciate your super chat.
And by the way, Chinese make the best Chinese movies. Japan make
yes. I really think
hold on. I'm speaking specifically of Asian American filmmakers, actors, directors here in America who are struggling to get a job that they can't get in China and Japan. And that's kind of my focus here. But so you can list off all these great Asian movies, but they weren't made in America. And that's where I'm coming from.
Well, to piggyback on that, it's just better when it authentically comes from that place. Yeah. Like even Ryan Coogler's movie I have a problem with, but it's more authentic. It's all from him.
It happened at that time.
It's based on not anything real necessarily, but some parts inspired by real events, even though it's about vampires. That part is fiction, obviously.
Yeah. Well, let me Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's authentically Asian. That's what makes it great, and the fact that it relates, it's accessible to a broad audience makes it even better.
Yep.
So it can be done. Patrick Lemire. So they're digging up all the failed actors that were in Star Wars. They couldn't produce a single screenshot of a racist tweet. I would not put it past Disney to send hate tweets to their own actors. That's a good point.
Yeah, that has always concerned me. The point is the best way to handle it is sunlight. Expose it. Say, here's a list of 10 tweets I got that are concerning, and expose the accounts, whatever you've got to do.
Or better yet, show us all of Rose Tico's great moments in Star Wars.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're right about that, Alan. But I again, you're right, Patrick. Like, let's see who are saying these things and what they've said, and show it to us. So this happens every time, and Well,
you never learn the lesson. If you write a bad role and you accuse the audience of being racist, you'll never write a better role because you think you did a good job.
Yep.
Andrew Weirdna. Microcosm sounds like some commie gobbledygook.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Kirk 2019 for 20. I'm a black dude that is attracted to Asian culture. Admittedly, my stories are centered around black male, Asian female, or black male, half Asian female couples. But I do want to bring more foreign Asian and Asian American culture into my stories.
You are allowed to do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you're inspired, that's great. Also, thank you. Very generous. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, do it. It's I don't know. Like I also from even being young, I watched Ultraman, Godzilla movies, Johnny Sacco, Toho films. Loved it as a kid. So yes, I have an appreciation for Asian culture. There's nothing wrong with taking inspiration from that experience and writing your own stories. There should never be some hard and fast rule that you can't do something because you're not exactly the identity or age or whatever of the people you're writing about. I tend to think radical take right now. You want to hear this?
Sure.
This is the sexist take of the year. I think that male directors and writers are better at writing and directing female stories than women are at writing and directing male stories. Why is that? Because whenever I've seen, I can bring up countless examples over the last few years of women who have told stories that have male characters, and the men are portrayed as complete a-holes. No one's a good person. And I believe this is the reason. I think male filmmakers have more empathy for their female characters than female filmmakers have empathy for their male characters. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
She-Hulk. Is it?
No, that proves me right. Hear what I'm saying. Male filmmakers, creators have more empathy for their female characters in fiction than female filmmakers and creators have for their male characters that they've created. There's almost a disdain. When I see a female director or female filmmaker, I'm like, they're going to make all the men bad guys, right? And you know what? 99% of the time it happens. There's very little empathy for male characters coming from female filmmakers, where the opposite is, in fact, I will say that look at the movie Tar with Cate Blanchett. It's like, when I look at like some of the great films that have had great performances, great female characters, they're written and directed by men. Just saying. Feel free to clip this take there, Lori, so that I will get canceled.
Yeah. Let me respond to Mr. Kirk once more.
Sorry about that.
But like Mr. Kirk, I too am attracted to Asian females, and hopefully, like you, I never get called out for it. So
Alan's trolling. He's always trolling.
Pilgrim Media for two. In the end, Disney will never take responsibility.
Well, that's 100% true.
I think we just have bad takes on what the importance of race in American culture is. Seed, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Racism.
Yep.
Raylo Normie, I post and ghost like Chris. Don't get sucked in by the trolls.
Well, then don't follow Alan at My Pal Al. Do not.
Gosh. I get close.
He's always trolling.
I get close sometimes. Sam, Finn was such a wasted character. Exactly. The premise of a defecting stormtrooper is such a great premise.
It's a great idea, Sam. Thanks for being a member.
And him being black, we still bought into it.
It was that didn't matter. They made him a janitor.
Mm-hmm.
Which on Star Killer Base, he worked in sanitation.
Yeah.
How's
that not racist?
I mean, it was in J.J. Abrams. Yeah, he was a waste. I thought that is a great character to have the backbone to, like, I'm not going to, I was kidnapped, programmed as a youth. I'm not going to listen. I'm not buying into this ideology anymore. He was the most interesting character, more interesting than Rey.
Eddie Brock, 9042 for 2.49 euros. Daredevil Born Again is now The Handmaid's Tale. R.I.P.D.D. Well, people like The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, well, there you go. It does have an audience, oddly.
All right, Savior Cross. Has there been an actual African-American filmmaker featured on Film Threat? I'd like to hear their thoughts on these topics, like how Alan gives insight into Asian cinema or Latino slant covers Latino culture. Has there ever been an African-American associated with Film Threat?
Yeah, I wonder. Dante James, Verbal Riot. Dante was a writer, and he'll occasionally write for us. So yes, Dante James. Look up Verbal Riot Show.
Yeah, but early on in Film Threat's history.
Early on, the Film Threat was co-created by my friend in college, Andre Seawood, who happened to be black. And we didn't agree on everything, but we were friends. And in fact, he made movies. He preferred, as a black filmmaker, to make movies featuring white characters because he felt that white people, in his words, were generic people. He could tell a story without feeling obligated to make some comment about race because his characters were black. That was back then. Andre took
from the beginning, from the very beginning.
Now that was Andre back then. I don't know how he feels now. He is a college professor who I think is very woke, and we probably would not agree these days, but I respected his opinion, and we were great friends. So,
all right.
But yeah, no, and I think we've always had different. I never like way back when Film Threat started. I know it was ever like Film Threat should be diverse. It was like, will you write for me for free because I have no money, which is almost still kind of the case. But I'm just saying that Film Threat attracts people that so love and care and are passionate about movies that they will come to. I want to place a platform to spout my opinions, and that attracts a very diverse group. Dante James, follow him at Verbal Riot on X, among them. So Save Your Cross, that has always been Film Threat's history.
Eddie Brock, 9043, 2.5 euros. Sorry. I'm angry like Chris is with freaking IKEA chairs.
Well, there you go. Thank you for the support. And breaking news, Alan.
Yeah.
We have breaking news here. And I don't even know how to talk about this news. I'm going to share my take. This will be the shortest news item of the year. Today, Wednesday, April 16th, is National Canadian Film Day. Who gives a shit? Alan?
I love Canada. Strange brew. How about that?
Is that your
That's
take?
my Canadian.
Let's try that again. Today, Wednesday, April 16th, is a National Canadian Film Day. Who gives a shit? And I'll just say
you're producing clips during the show.
That's what I'm doing. That'll make a great short, right, Lori? I didn't make Lori laugh.
Well, no.
I was trying to make Lori laugh. Yeah. Paul Chato most affected. That's yes.
Yeah.
Post this
Happy
clip.
Canadian Film Day, everybody.
Paul Chato will be the first comment. I love it. Okay. Moving on. We have a lot of news stories here, including here it is. Can't get away from it.
Can I do a joke real quick?
Yes, please.
Can I do a joke real quick?
Yeah.
Celebrating National Canadian Film Day is like celebrating Montana Film Day. Okay, we can keep going.
Home Alone 2 director on Donald Trump cameo. It seems like no matter what is that Trump. Hollywood loves to comment on three things: Trump, girl bossery and feminism, and racism. These are the things that Hollywood is constantly bring to the surface, or more than likely it's a not so subtle subtext of a film. And I credit Jeremy Johns with making that observation. It's like Hollywood is obsessed. But Home Alone 2 director says Donald Trump cameo has become this curse. It's literally 7 seconds of the movie. Alan, this is from the San Francisco Chronicle.
Interesting.
Why don't you give us the crux of this story?
Sure. San Francisco filmmaker Chris Columbus recently opened up about his regret over Donald Trump's cameo in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, calling it an albatross and saying he wishes it was gone. Columbus explained that Trump only allowed filming at the Plaza Hotel on the condition that he appear in the film. While the cameo was a hit with test audiences and contributed to the movie's success, Columbus now feels stuck with it. I can't cut it, he said. If I cut it, I'll probably be sent out of the country. I'll probably be considered sort of not fit to live in the United States. So I'll have to go back to Italy or something, he joked, referencing his Italian ancestry and political climate for the Trump era. Thanks for explaining that, San Francisco Chronicle. He also dismissed Trump's later claim that Columbus begged for the cameo, saying, "There's no world I would ever beg a non-actor to be in a movie." Despite the lasting controversy, Home Alone 2 grossed nearly $360 million.
Well, yeah, if he cuts it, half the country is going to be offended. There are versions that have aired where the cameo is cut. It's only 7 seconds. It's a much younger Donald Trump. So,
Yes, I believe he was a Democrat back then, but
yeah, it's this was the 90s. So I don't know. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's very sad to see. And I don't even think, I'm sure Chris Columbus, whenever this topic comes up, he's never the one bringing it up. It is. And look, we recently saw, did you watch the Bill Maher? Bill Maher talked about, it was like a segment where he talked about meeting Trump, and he wishes that the private Trump that he met was the more public version of Trump. He had a sense of humor. He talked about issues. Bill Maher was able to disagree with him. There is TDS now, I believe, is worse now than it was before, and I kind of feel like people that are just so tied up with everything, their whole world revolves around hating our president, that it's like it is a borderline mental illness, and they really just give up their power. Like, can't you have an opinion where you look at policy or something? It's like this guy can do no right. If he cured cancer, they'd still be he'd still be the worst person in the world. Now, it just makes me sad because it's really preventing us from actually getting together, finding common ground to solve problems. And kudos to Bill Maher for saying, you know what, I'm tired of these people. They're acting like the popular girls at the lunch table in junior high, refusing to speak to someone. It's immature, and it's not helpful. What are your thoughts, Alan?
Yeah, if I was Chris Columbus, I'd just say it this way. This is America, and this is just a movie. The fact that it's become a big deal. I mean, look, I could read this article one of two ways. One of the, and I understand the fact. I understand that he called it an albatross, because like an albatross, it's just going to follow you everywhere you go, and you can either take it in good spirits or not. The thing I was offended by was the fact that that he's going to send him back to Italy because he's Columbus. You assign the problem that the divide that occurs in America is the fact that there are certain beliefs we've assigned to Donald Trump that are just not true. And the idea that he's rounding people up in camps and putting and sending people back to where they came from, I find that just an odd thing to say. And again, I would just say, this is America. We can do what we want. You can feel how you want, and this is just a movie. It has zero impact on the course of this nation.
Yeah, it's just it just makes me sad. Because, I have to resist engaging with certain friends of mine that I'm like, I can see from their posts, oh, you watch the news. The news told you to think this way, and this is why you think this way. And the news has been telling you for years to think this way, and you cannot break that. And propaganda is powerful in America. It's a friend of mine who's from China told me that Everyone in China knows the news is bullshit. The news is propaganda. The trouble is, in America, Americans don't realize it yet, that their news is all propaganda, all made to make you think a certain way. What I am hopeful about is more and more people, like being unplugged from the matrix, are waking up. And they choose to have their own opinions or maybe do research outside of a very few media outlets, and they become unplugged and form their own opinions about things. I love to see it. But it makes me very sad to see this. And look, I know for a fact my certain friendships have, evaporated for me. So I pretty much stick to, politics is not my realm, but for some reason, because Hollywood is obsessed with identity politics, DEI, racism, girl bossery, feminism, emasculating males, which is sort of toe in toe with feminism, and hatred of Donald Trump. All of that is an obsession, and I think it's very unhealthy. Final thoughts, Alan. We'll go to comments.
No, I think I said everything I need to say. So
Great.
let's go to comments.
All right, and I'll be
Baby
right
T.
back, because what do you guess I'm doing?
You're peeing. You're
You are
urinating.
correct. I'll be right back.
You're urinating and getting coffee, and probably at the same time. JBTRX for 2. Correction, Chris Gore, who gives a shit a. Chris, who gives. Oh, yeah, who gives. Okay, got it. Let's see, we got that one already. Geek True 64. At least I have the Blu-ray of Home Alone 2. Don't need the Chris Columbus despecialized edition. Exactly. Ololiukui, if you cut it, people will rightfully call you out for call you a censorious whiny bitch. CK, the movie is how old? This shouldn't be a decision. Yeah, I mean Macaulay Culkin, he's still a kid. Wes, it's an Easter egg that makes sense for the time and the place of the movie. Since Trump was and is one of the big figures of Manhattan. Yes, you are right there. Brock Samsonite, I visited the Plaza Hotel because of the scene on my New York trip, and I'm not a Trump supporter. I did it because I love the movie as is. And then finally, Patrick Lemire, the kidney makes demands. You are a slave to your kidney.
Well, that's true. I have an idea, Alan. I have an idea.
Okay.
Here's what we do. Okay, Lori, Glenn, let me know how hard this is. Let's take the 7 seconds Trump is in Home Alone 2 and loop it for 12 hours.
Isn't that copyright material?
We probably can't monetize it.
Okay.
But Donald Trump in Home Alone 2 for 12 hours, holiday Yule log. You can just run it and send it to your family if they have TDS. Let's do this. Lori, what do you think?
Maybe we need to talk about this off.
Okay, we'll talk about it. But
Yeah.
I like, God, what do you think? Wise in the chat. Should we do this? Wise in the chat. 12 hours of Donald Trump in Home Alone 2.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I'll say this. The only thing I'll say is we are not necessarily a political stream.
And we probably cannot monetize it. I'm seeing a lot of wise.
All right.
A lot of wise. Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. We're doing it. I don't know when,
All right.
but we'll talk about it. It'll make the news. Okay. Our guests will be joining us very shortly, but we have more news stories, and they're all related to Hollywood
Tariffs. Oh, sorry.
Well, here we go. Really quick, I want to remind people, screening to show 70 minutes of just trailers. These are not just trailers. These are all the trailers and video that was shown at CinemaCon. Go to the website, Sneak Peek Showcase, It's at themovies.co. At themovies.co is the website. What they've decided to do, the Cinema Foundation, who puts on CinemaCon, are now allowing on April 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, you can grab a ticket. I think it's like $3, and you can see all the video that Alan and I saw at CinemaCon. So a more extended Fantastic Four, more extended Superman, more extended looks at, you can see a preview of The Bride, the upcoming Maggie Gyllenhaal movie with Christian Bale as the monster and Jessie Buckley as the bride of Frankenstein, so to speak. So this is a reminder. I don't know. I think this is a good idea, because I think that all these things they show at these conventions, sure, we get the first look, but allow the general public to see these things, especially the most enthusiastic film goers. Alan, your thoughts?
Oh, silly. It was just silly. Sorry. I mean, I was there, I saw it, but wow, I must be really bored on one of these 3 days if I'm going to do this.
All right, moving on.
Sorry.
Hollywood is becoming the next Detroit. This is really sad for me because I'm from Detroit. Okay. And let me bring up this story from the Hollywood Reporter while you read the notes, Alan.
Yeah.
But this is, I saw Detroit go from a once prosperous city to the auto industry leaving, and so many people out of work. My father worked for Chrysler. He worked in the leasing department on computers when this was a thing in the 70s. Okay. But I saw the city once prosperous, and auto manufacturing left Detroit. Well, guess what? Film production is leaving LA. And I don't know a friend that over the last couple of years since the strikes has not struggled. Alan, give us the story here.
Let me just spotlight by, I was just with a friend of mine who works in film post-production, and his job, he got laid off and his job went to India.
Yeah, it's happening.
Yep, it's happening. The specter of Los Angeles becoming another Detroit, a city built on a specific industry that became a shell of its former self when that business moved out, loomed over a compelling film and television industry town hall that tackled not only the calamitous drop in production in Hollywood and California, but also the fight to get the state to increase its entertainment production tax increase. Noel Stamen, a member of the Stay in LA campaign, said, "This is not hyperbole to say that if we don't act, the California film and television industry will become the next Detroit auto." The push for a proposed increase in tax incentives is hitting a critical phase in the legislative process, and California State Senator Ben Allen and State Assemblyman Rick Zerber were on hand to make the effort to get the necessary votes in. One major hurdle is politicians who see the incentives as a corporate giveaway to movie studios and media companies. That is poppycock to Allen. The studios don't care where they do work. They'll do it anywhere, he told the Standing Room. They're still producing shows. What a lot of our colleagues simply don't understand is that this is a middle-class problem. The studio heads are going to bed in Bel Air no matter what happens. This is not a tax giveaway. It is a jobs program that is keeping people in their homes, keeping people off unemployment rolls. And if we don't do this, it's going to cost a lot more than these tax credits are costing us. I say this to my colleagues. Why do you think all these other governments are pulling these tax-rich programs in place? It's because they pay themselves and because these jobs are jobs that people want. And why are we standing by and letting people cherry pick off jobs that we have grown here? That's pretty much it. It just goes into the details that production has been down 22% year after year. And also, I don't know if you knew this, but Disney is pulling out of the Fox lot. over on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Also from the wrap, you referenced that here is the other story related. There's two other stories related to this. Los Angeles first quarter production sinks 22% year over year. Fewer and fewer movies being made in Hollywood or in California or Los Angeles area. So where most of the talent lives and works, whether it's post-production, pre-production, production, people live here, make movies and TV. Well, down 22% each year, that's not sustainable. Lower and lower. And another related story from my friend Jim Agnew let me know about the WGA. I'll bring there's a full analysis. I'm gonna bring this up on screen and share this. It is for writers. If you're a member of the Writers Guild, things are pretty awful. Let me look. There's a Writer Guild WGA Writer Employment Snapshot. Okay, it's lower and lower year by year. I don't want to go bore you with all the numbers here. It's just less and less. And he told me, Jim sent me a note and said, I've heard that only 6,000 WGA members actually make at least $45,000 a year to qualify for health insurance. These geniuses are now admitting that they put about a quarter of working writers out of jobs with all the shenanigans. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
He's very vocal and opinionated about what he thinks some bad decisions that have been made. What do we think about all of this, Alan? Hollywood becoming effectively the next Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's sad. Like I said, Disney is pulling out of the Fox lot, so it's less productions going on. There are several reasons why it costs so much money to shoot in LA. Big chunk of it is regulations that these productions have to follow. The other is, the repercussions of the strike. The fact that it's going to cost more to hire actors and all that other stuff. It's I don't know. I'm always mixed when it comes to these tax credits because, again, that's our money going into Hollywood, paying off Hollywood studios to produce movies. Probably a lot of it is going off to pay off these regulations they have to fulfill, which means it's just going back into the government. But at the same time, Hollywood films are the homegrown industry of California, of Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm saddened only because of the legacy that is gone, much like Star Wars. And, at some point we just, unless you significantly reduce the cost associated with filming in Los Angeles, you have no chance. And tax credits, I don't think are going to do a damn thing to turn the tide.
And having seen a city die firsthand, Detroit, I can only hope that Los Angeles will be wiser. Let's go to comments, and then we will get to our interview subject. We're talking about the death of Snow White. I can't wait. And some people are popping in. So I cannot wait. We will talk to Snow White herself very soon. I see her. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I like how you say,
get your questions ready.
I hope, I like how you say, I hope Los Angeles is wiser.
Yeah, I doubt that.
Because you know the answer.
Here we go. Go to comments and we'll start our interview.
Chris, is your favorite movie Beverly Hills Cop or RoboCop?
RoboCop, 100%. I like the sense of humor. And I like Eddie Murphy too, though.
Yeah. KG Jung doesn't help that California acts like it wants to penalize businesses for wanting to be in the state. Yes.
Yes. Well, the wiser businesses have left.
Yep. Patrick Lemire, the irony is that one guy that just could really help Hollywood, they hate too much to ask for help. Too busy being about a 7-second clip in a movie.
You mean bitching?
Bitching, yes, that's right.
Yes.
Deference to our guest. Solomon Thornton, Hollywood has had history of bad times.
Yep.
Roxanne Stein, yes, Disney is leaving and they're doing it so they can clean house, Alan. Remember the Disney Slack leaks. Andrew Weirdna, worst part is Hollywood purged itself of all its actual talent. And so now there's no reason for it to stick around. There's nothing to save.
Yeah, it's very sad. It's very sad. But look, if you're a fan of indie film, it's always struggle making indie films that are popular, indie films that make money. So all I can say is for those struggling in Hollywood, welcome to the party. That's the story of independent film. And I think it's time we talk to the filmmakers behind the death of Snow White, a fractured fairy tale coming soon to theaters. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Thank you for joining us. We have the death of Snow White. We have the evil queen played by Chelsea Edmondson. We have Snow White played by Sanaa Lucis. Is that correct?
Sanaya, but
Sanaya.
It's so no
Sanaya. Okay. And Jason Brooks, writer, director, also played the Huntsman Gunner. How are y'all doing today?
Doing good. Great. Thank you for having us.
We are so happy to have you both. I saw the film at the premiere. I was fortunate to get an invite. Wow. This movie is so fun with an audience. So fun. I want to show our audience the trailer in a little bit. We've got almost 2,000 people watching live. Tell me, Jason, where did this project come from? How'd you pull this together? And your timing could not be better on the release.
Thank you so much. Actually, Sean Lutzis, our executive producer, came to me with the idea. He and his daughter, Sanaya, were sitting around the table with some family, and they were talking about Snow White and the movie and how they wish that Sanaya could play Snow White. And Sean was like, wait a minute, we make movies. Why don't we do it? So he came to me and asked me if I would make a Snow White movie. And I said, only if it could be kind of dark fantasy horror. And he said, of course. And so Naomi, my partner, and I, we got together, started writing it for a few days and brought it to the team, and everyone loved it. So we moved forward.
And this is not, I should just say, this is not your Disney Snow White.
No.
This is violent. It also has real human dwarves, little people. It's, dare I say, sexy. And it's for adults. This is hard R. And also incredibly fun. So Sanaya, you were really the inspiration for this whole project.
Yeah, my dear sister-in-law, she's like one of my best friends. We are just always talking about like pop culture and stuff. So we were just talking about the Disney Snow White, and she was like, Sanaya, you should have played Snow White. And I was like, whoa. I don't work for Disney, but that would be cool. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, and then all of that happened, and now we're here and we made a movie. So pretty cool.
And you really embody the spirit of Snow White, her pure goodness. And even there's a shot in the film with you playing with baby raccoons that just happened.
They're so precious. It was like one of the most magical experiences of my whole life, really. Like those were moments where I was like, wow, I know I'm like playing a princess, but like I feel like a princess like IRL right now. It's like they were just so adorable. Like I will never forget that day. One of the best days of my life.
And Chelsea, let's got to talk to you about Evil Queen. Wow, you really embodied the Evil Queen, and in every instance, just went for it. Your performance is, I mean, it's pure evil and over the top, and I love it. And you were really bold in your performance, if dare I say.
Thank you.
Fantastic, yeah. Tell me about like getting into that role.
It was so fun. I just have been saying it was like therapy, like any internalized like feminine rage that I had, I was just like unleashed it through the character. So I felt way better when it was over. I mean, I feel like it's like 10 years of therapy in one role.
And oddly enough, there's been a lot of controversy about this other Snow White movie. But having attended the screening and the Q&A after, you, Sanaya, and you get along really well.
Oh yeah, I love Sanaya.
You clearly you're friends from the, yeah.
Well,
It's
Sanaya
great.
actually really wanted me to get the job and was vocal about that. So I have her to thank. She was very supportive of me being cast. So I better be nice to her because I got a great role.
Well, I want to show for those in our audience that have not seen the trailer, we've posted it on our own trailer channel just to help promote, because that's what we do. We have Film Threat trailers. It's new independent film trailers posted every day, and we have the Death of Snow White trailer here. Let's watch it with our audience because I really want them to experience this, get a taste anyway of this film.
Mirror hanging on the wall. I am the fairest of them all.
Oh yes, you are fair, it is true. But we both know Snow White is more beautiful than you.
What are the huntsmen doing out here?
She will not survive the dark forest alone, and we cannot risk sending my men out.
Find her now!
We captured her, Michael, but we were ambushed.
You mean she got away?
Protecting her.
The dwarves? Have they all gone mad?
They do appear to be quite mad.
Take this.
Now what?
Now take her heart from her chest. And then
I shall have it all.
There you go. The deathofsnowwhite.com. You can go there and get more information. Like, I gotta say, having seen the film, I've seen the movie, and I'll review it when it opens in theaters. I'll be reviewing it on this channel, but it is incredibly ambitious. Wall-to-wall action, costumes, practical effects, the casting with the little people, amazing. The stunts, the blood and gore, visual effects, so much. I mean, I don't know what it cost, but wow, it is looked like a really big budget for an indie film. How did you pull all this together?
Well, we didn't know that we couldn't do it, so we made it happen. Essentially, is we didn't know our limits. Which, I mean, we worked together several times with this crew. We knew that we'd all put 150% into it, and we went for it. I own a special effects and makeup company with my partner Naomi, and so we knew what we could do there. So all of our time was kind of, added to that without charge, in a lot of ways. So the acting was phenomenal from the team. We just have an amazing crew that just came in and nailed it, from stunts to set design and everything. The music from Andrew Scott Bell. It just really, we're able to come together and by hiring people who are passionate about film and the project, and they were not just there for a paycheck. I think we were able to pull off something amazing.
And you're releasing it independently in a couple weeks, or it's coming out, right?
Yeah, it's coming out in a couple of weeks. I have a meeting later today to find out when, I hope. But yeah, it was supposed to come out Friday. Looks like the distribution, they're strategically pushing it by a couple of weeks to do some things. But new trailer should be coming out very soon. And then we'll get the theater release rolling in looks like the beginning of May, and hopefully that'll just keep expanding. If people go and see it and watch it and help support it, then we'll start seeing it in a lot more places.
By the way, the chat is on fire right now. I don't know if you know what the word simping means, but there's a lot of that happening in the chat, a lot of love in the chat. And I want to go to questions from our live audience here. But one final thing. I mean, look, it's not just the performances, the ambitiousness of this production. It's really well written. And some might argue more true to the actual fairy tale than Disney's version. What went into the writing to really elevate it and change it from the version most people are familiar with? Most people are familiar with Disney. So what went into that?
Well, we basically, Naomi and I went back to the Brothers Grimm story and said, it's a very short story. So we took that and said, what do we want to expand on? What has not been told yet, and what do we think would be interesting? So we kind of delved into some of those pieces and storylines to say, well, I want to know more about this character, or why this particular moment that we all know and love is important. And we just kind of explored some of that, and while keeping the main points of the story that everyone knows and loves intact.
Well, I saw that other Snow White movie. I know we're not going to compare at all, but I thought that one was kind of boring. This is nonstop action from beginning to end, and sets up and pays off. So many other minor characters have their moments. It was, I mean, I'm sure there's a director's cut that's much longer, but what you packed in to something under 2 hours is just so admirable.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the original cut was over 2 hours long, but we all know that we got to get it down to that magic number, so we cut quite a bit.
Maybe someday you'll get a director's cut, Jason.
Yeah, that would be fun. It'd be fun to get everything back in, and more blood, more gore, more kills, more. Yeah.
The evil.
Real quick, but where did you film Death of Snow White?
This is all done in Woodinville, Washington, which is about 45 minutes north of Seattle, and a little bit in Idaho. So.
Well, we have a lot of questions in our chat. You can see the live chat going here. Alan, if you would help me out, let's get some of these questions from our audience.
All right, from Savior Cross, question for the filmmakers. What theme of Snow White attracted you to the story itself?
That would be, I think, a little bit of the love story and making it slightly different than what we know. And then, of course, the Queen's obsession with beauty. Those two things, I think, kind of help drive some of a lot of our decisions. And you'll see the Queen's obsession is a little bit out there.
Yeah.
All right, Chelsea, I'm very interested in this movie. I hope it's playing in an indie theater in my town.
Cool.
I hope so too.
Nerd Far Away, hail movie makers. What was your approach to costuming for this movie?
Honestly, my approach to costuming is very simple. I like putting things together that are cosplayable. I was a big nerd growing up, and I wanted to go to conventions, and I like seeing people who are paying homage to films and stuff they like. And so and again, Naomi and I kind of got together, and we decided to go look at costumes in each character and what would represent that particular character, what would be cool, what has not been done, and what would be recognizable at a convention. If we went to Comic-Con and saw a Snow White with a little X on the cheek and covered in blood, we'd know who they're cosplaying, and then with the Queen, with the gold and all that, it's just, that's kind of our approach.
All right. Razorburn, did all of you grow up on horror? Fave genre of horror?
Ooh, fun.
I'll let the girls go.
Yeah.
Sorry, Saya, do you want to go first?
Oh, okay.
Nope, you are.
I mean, I grew up not necessarily liking horror as much, just because I was really little and I was freaked out by everything. But I honestly being in horror movies is kind of where I grew to like horror movies, because I started off doing Friday the 13th fan films, and I didn't even know what that was at first. And then I watched them and I was like, oh, wait, these are kind of fun. And now I'm a really big horror fan. So
Yeah, I would say I had a similar experience. Like my mom did not like horror movies, so I didn't watch a lot of them young, except for maybe Gremlins. And I was scared of Gremlins. Like I thought they were gonna get me. Um, but my dad would watch thrillers with us more, like Silence of the Lambs and things like that. And I would say that that's still kind of like horror that has kind of a psychological thriller element is still my favorite.
It's great.
I was kind of in a religious sheltered household growing up until my early teens, somewhere around 12 years old. I started watching horror movies. I did have my first horror movie at 8 years old at a babysitter's house on Halloween, watching Halloween. And that kind of scared me at the time. But yeah, I got into it in my teens and with Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th and all that. So.
All right. Solomon Thornton asks, wow, they are way better Snow White and Evil Queen than the other one. What was the challenge for getting this film made?
For me, it was timing and budget, which is, I think, every independent filmmaker's nightmare. And hiring LP actors, getting the timing to get everyone in one place. That's really what it was. It was, as you mentioned, a very ambitious film. We did it in 19 days. And to do that, it takes a lot of planning and really amazing team members to make that come together.
All right, Red French Moon for 2. No CGI blood. Say no more. I'm in. Bravo, you 3. And speaking about that, is there a recipe for movie blood and industry secret? Why?
Some people keep it secret. We share a recipe with a lot of people. We actually have 22 different types of blood, depending on what it's used for, whether it's flow blood, fresh blood, scab blood, old blood, aged blood, dark blood, mouth blood, eye blood. We have a lot of different blood, and they all have different recipes.
So Naya and I got to experience a lot of the recipes of blood.
Yes, bathtub blood.
All right, Christopher Moonlight Productions. I love this. It's unapologetic and has style. What was the main focus of production to give it this style? Photography, sets, costumes, FX? I need to know, what was the foundation of this vision?
I think I started going through, as we were writing, I'm a very visual person, so I started kind of conceptualizing a lot of what I wanted things to look like. And then also our DP, Cody Newton, who's an amazing writer-director himself, we started collaborating a little bit on what that look would be and kind of pulling from different films and different ideas. And then it all just kind of came together. We had a lot of, like I said, really talented people who were all on the same page, and we all had the same vision. So there was no butting heads. We all just made it come together.
And just so much love in the chat here. Here's some comments here.
Yeah, Fred Frenchman, wow, the costumes are great.
Oh, thank you.
Lord Thoth, yay, parts for little people. Woo! REG, this looks super badass. And let's see. You want to do the last one? Just
Sure.
Yeah, and Secoy wants to know, is this the Friday the 13th guy?
Yes, it is.
You've been spotted. All right. ADLS24, were you ever concerned when you started this project that the market could be oversaturated, not with just Snow White projects, but with horror fairy tale reimaginings?
Absolutely. There's a lot of fear going into this with, Disney making theirs. So you get the attorneys involved to make sure that nothing is overlapping, that everything is safe. But in terms of the oversaturation with this, the one thing I did go into also when talking with Sean was like, we want to make this, but I don't want to make just another basic slasher. I don't want to have Snow White running around with a knife killing everything and just kind of make it cheap and a cash grab. That's not what we're about. And we wanted to, give it some heart and everything. So in some ways, we felt we were making something different than that.
I'll say this, having seen it, and I have seen all of the public domain property horror films like Neverland, Screamboat, Pooh, Blood and Honey, Part 1 and 2. Alan and I see all of them. The screenings are packed, by the way, but none of them hold up to the entertainment that this movie is. This is the most ambitious, the most, I'll say the most gore, and dare I say the most tasteful nudity This movie has it all, as well as baby raccoons.
Oh, thank you so much. That means the world to us.
Yeah.
All right. I Will Not Eat the Bugs asks, congrats on the film, Jason. I know you're a horror fan. Any recommendations of lesser known or personal favorites you'd like to mention? Keep up the great work.
Thank you. Lesser known favorites of horror movies or, oh man. Go see The Greasy Strangler.
Oh, that's a classic. That's a classic.
Not a lot of people know about it.
It's great that you know that. Yeah.
All right, ADL is 24. How enjoyable was it having real live actors performing the role of the Seven Dwarves on set? Could you ever imagine someone trying to make a Snow White film and making all of the characters CGI? Can you imagine that?
I cannot. I'll let these two answer how it was working with them.
I mean, our whole like LP cast, they're amazing people. They're some of my favorite people that were on set in general. I hang out with a bunch of them actively outside of set these days because a lot of us are just around LA and stuff. But I mean, they're all like incredibly talented. And I mean, we all get very hung up on the idea of like, oh, like LP actors playing the dwarves is so cool. And it is. It's awesome that they're getting represented. But also they're just amazing actors in general. Like, and they're all very, very talented. And I love them so much.
I concur with Sanaya. They're just amazing actors. Their characters are all very different from one another. That was my favorite part, and seeing how in the writing that was already there, they were already very distinct, but then seeing how each of them really took that and ran with it and made these characters their own. It's just so special. And it's, we've had the strikes and everything else recently. It's been slow, and actors need jobs. Like, actors need to be in projects and working. So I'm really proud that ours are real people playing roles.
And I had an amazing time with them, and they're just fantastic people.
All right, and last question. I Will Not Eat the Bugs. Was it easy securing distribution for the film in lieu of the negative press the Disney live action film was getting?
In some ways, yes. Some people were very scared of, what would Disney do if we got this? Some people were afraid that people are not going to want to see a Snow White because of what was happening with Disney. But then we also had the opposite, where people were like, this is brilliant timing, this is a perfect moment, and this could be really great for us. So we had some good options when talking to distributors. It's just the politics in the theaters and getting it in the actual theaters during the Disney run has kind of been proving difficult lately. So that's
I will say that you could probably make the same amount of money that movie made.
We keep hearing that, and we hope that is true. That would be amazing. We just got to make sure people are aware and go see it. So we appreciate you guys getting the word out.
And if recent history proves accurate, I'll say I have been to all these fractured fairy tale horror films, and we've created a category at our annual award show. You probably don't know about it. It's called Award This. Go to awardthis.com. You are eligible in our category of public domain horror. So you might be going to the awards next year. It's for low budget indie movies. We give them acknowledgement. And every screening I've been to for these, the good and the bad, they are packed. If my theater is the AMC Burbank 16, there's a regular audience that's trained. When one of these movies comes out, boom, people are there. So I hope you'll do Q&As and promote the film. Go to deathofsnowwhite.com to get more info. Last minute question rolled in here, Alan.
Yes, from Red French Moon. I need that movie as soon as possible. Is there a European release or a VOD release after the theatrical run?
Yes, the VOD release is planned to start around July 1st. After the theater run. So we give it a little bit of time in the theaters and to let them run it, and then VOD starts then.
All right. Is it too soon for a European release yet? Or
no, we've had a lot of talk and interest in international markets. So there's a lot of demand for that. So it sounds like we will be out there as well.
Well, let me just say thank you, Sanaya, Chelsea, Jason, taking the time to talk to us today. Congrats on the film. seeing it in a theater with a packed audience was a blast. It was a party. I mean, people were howling, screaming. It is nonstop action. I can't believe you did this on a low budget. It's insane. And I wish you all the success in the world. We will, I'm sure your publicist will let us know the exact release date, and we will let our audience know. Don't miss this movie. Spread the word, the trailer. Congrats again. You really, truly, having gone there and seen your Q&A, you care about the audience. You really, I mean, everyone on that panel at the Q&A genuinely cares about the experience of the audience. I can't thank you enough. Any final words before we let you go?
For me, just thank you. Thank you so much for having us on and supporting us and enjoying the film. It does mean the world to us with everything that we put in. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And we just hope you love the movie.
Yeah, a million times thank you. We're so excited for everyone to be able to see it. And yeah, thanks for having us on.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great day. Congrats again. Death of Snow White. Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
There you go. There you go. That was fun.
That was. I can't wait to see the movie.
Yeah, dude, you got to see it with an audience.
Mm-hmm.
It's I saw it with an audience and they were going nuts. There are so many cheer moments, and I don't want to ruin anything. It is hard R from a nudity standpoint, from a violent standpoint, and all I can say is this: the little people, they get their due. Do not count them out. Trust me. So that's it for us today. We will be back Friday with our normal Film Threat Friday live cast reviews of all the movies opening on Friday. There's a big list, and we will give our initial reaction to Andor Season 2, the first several episodes. Lord Thoth, one of your best interviews, guys. Thank you, Lord Thoth. Appreciate you. And in fact, thank you to Lord Thoth, our mod here today. Thank you to Atomic Glory and Glenn Nuccio. Keep this channel growing.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
And YouTube members will get a exclusive meetup video from Chris on the member channel.
Yes, I will post that, and I'll show you. I'll take pictures and video to show on our Friday show. So come back on Friday, please, to watch Alan and I argue about Sinners.
Oh,
I think that's gonna be a big argument. I am literally, after this stream, I'm getting in my car, rolling into Vegas. I'll be there tonight, and I will be at the meetup Thursday, and I don't even know where it is.
Oh,
someone will tell me.
It's near where it was last year, but it's on the website.
There you go. So thank you, everyone who sent in a super chat and continues to support us. We appreciate you, and thank you for being flexible. We changed. We were early today, so thank you for rolling with us. Back to our normal schedule next week, and hopefully I will survive Vegas.
Yeah, hopefully.
Cool. Yeah, Alan, anything else going on with you? You're seeing the Legend of Ochi.
Yeah, we've seen the Legend of Ochi. I have no idea where, but most likely it's going to be at AMC Fullerton.
Yeah, cool. All right, that's it for us. Alan?
Let's get out of here.